My name is Ava. I'm 29 years old, and exactly 12 days ago, I was supposed to be married. I live in Chicago, work as a marketing consultant, and I've always been the stable one in the family, the dependable daughter, the planner, the fixer, the one who sends birthday cards 2 weeks early and triple checks every RSVP. My younger sister, Bree, was the wild card, 3 years younger, twice as pretty, 4 times as impulsive. She was the one who'd change her hair color every season, fall in love on a Tuesday, and move in with the guy by Sunday. But no matter what chaos she brought home, our parents adored her. She's just free-spirited, Mom would say, when Bree dropped out of college for the 3rd time. You should learn to loosen up, Ava, Dad would add, as I silently paid Bree's overdue car insurance. I never envied her. Not really, because while she was chasing flings and drama, I was building a future, a home, a life. I met Daniel at a conference in New York. He was a data analyst with a shy smile and steady eyes. We weren't fireworks. We were gravity. Solid, calm, certain. After 3 years together, he proposed during a quiet dinner at home. No Instagram gimmicks. Just the 2 of us, pasta, and a velvet box. I said yes. We picked a spring wedding. April 27th. A garden ceremony outside the city. I even let Bree be my maid of honor. Despite everything. Despite the way she once joked, Daniel was too handsome for someone so boring. Despite the way she always draped herself across him in photos, too close. I told myself it was just her way, that she didn't mean anything by it. I chose to believe her when she said, "You're my sister, I'd never hurt you." I had no reason to doubt her. Until 4 days before the wedding, Daniel was acting strange, distant. His texts got shorter. He didn't want to finalize the seating chart. He skipped the final cake tasting. Then, one night, I opened his iPad to check a Spotify playlist we'd made for the reception. The messages were already open. A full thread between him and Bree. I remember my hands shaking as I scrolled. Flirty jokes. Late night rendezvous. Then photos. Ones I'll never be able to unsee. The worst part? The dates. It had started 2 months ago, while we were planning flower arrangements, while Bree was helping me pick out my dress, while I was dreaming of walking down the aisle. She was sneaking into my fiancé's bed. I didn't cry. Not at first. I just sat there, like my whole body had been drained, and all that was left was a quiet kind of rage. Not the kind that screams, the kind that waits. And I knew, in that moment, I would not walk down that aisle, but someone else would. Me. Just not in the way they expected. I didn't scream. I didn't call Daniel. I didn't confront Bree. At least, not right away. Instead, I closed the iPad, walked to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, and stared at the woman in the mirror. Her eyes weren't puffy from crying. Her lips weren't trembling, but something behind them had snapped, like a cable inside a bridge. Quiet, invisible, until everything eventually collapses. The next morning, I called the venue. I told them there was a family emergency. We'd need to cancel. No, I didn't need a refund. Just don't host it. Don't decorate it. Don't let anyone in. Then I called the florist, then the caterer, then the photographer. Every time I said the words, change of plans, I felt a little less numb. I didn't want anyone to know. Not yet. Especially not my parents. They'd never believe it anyway. They'd ask what I did wrong, what I said to push Daniel away, what I didn't give him. And as for Bree, she was just confused. She didn't mean it. She was trying to help. No, I didn't want excuses. I wanted silence, stillness, control. So I waited. 3 days before the wedding, Bree called. Her voice was chipper. Too chipper. "You're still letting me wear that rose gold dress, right? I just had it fitted. My hips look amazing in it." I stared at the phone, bit my cheek, and said, "Sure." 2 days before the wedding, Daniel texted me, "Babe, don't forget we need to finalize the vows. Want to FaceTime later?" I typed, then erased it, then typed again. I'm tired. Let's talk tomorrow. Tomorrow, the day before the wedding. The day I'd originally planned to pick up my dress, finish the seating chart, and rehearse saying, I do. Instead, I opened a private browser, typed in a name I hadn't thought about in over a year. Tyler James. Bree's ex. The only man who ever broke her heart. The only one she hadn't walked away from first. They dated 2 years ago. He was older, quieter, smarter, didn't fall for her games. Bree said he was too intense, that he took things too seriously. Translation. He saw through her. I remember him showing up at our parents' house once with sunflowers, saying, I know she likes roses, but sunflowers don't lie. I didn't know what that meant then. I do now. He had messaged me once after they broke up. Just a simple, you deserved better than what you were born into. I never replied, but now I did. I wrote, Tyler, I need to ask you something insane, but I promise it's worth your time. He replied 5 minutes later, Insane's my favorite kind of question. Call me. And just like that, the plan began. I called Tyler. I didn't even let the phone ring twice. I pressed call and waited, heart pounding. He picked up. Ava? His voice was calm, low, like he already knew something was wrong. It's been a while, I said. Yeah. Last time we talked, you were engaged to someone who wore beige sweaters and called you his better half. I almost laughed. Almost. I need your help, I said. He didn't speak for a moment. Then, say the word. So I told him everything. Not dramatically, just facts. That my wedding was 4 days away. That my sister had been sleeping with my fiancé. That I had proof. I'm not looking for revenge, I said. Not the petty kind. I just need something poetic. Something that ends the story on my terms. He was quiet. Then he said, I'm listening. I laid it out. All of it. I want to marry someone that day, I said. Not Daniel. Someone else. Someone who makes Bree lose her mind, just watching. A long pause. Then he said, Let me guess. You want me to marry you? I didn't flinch. Yes. He laughed. Not mockingly, just surprised. Do I get a tux? Or just show up in boots? I exhaled. For real? He paused. Then said, Ava, I dated your sister for 6 months. I saw everything. You? Crockett. You were the only real one in that whole house. If you want to turn the page, let me help you write it. I didn't cry, but something in me softened, like the part that had braced for rejection, finally let go. We met for coffee that night. No rings, no awkwardness. Just 2 people with shared history and a common goal. Take back the narrative. I don't need a forever promise, I told him. I just need a single day. One moment. One headline that belongs to me, not to them. He nodded. I've had worse first dates. We made the plan, found a small courthouse outside the city, booked a civil ceremony with a judge who didn't ask many questions. He had a suit ready. I had a backup white dress I'd once bought on sale and never wore. Everything was set. Except one thing, the invitation. The message I would send to Bree, just hours before what was supposed to be my big day. I drafted it at 1:14 a.m., staring at her contact name, Bridezilla, unofficial. I wrote, Hey sis, plans changed. Wedding still on. Just not with Daniel. Thought you should know before you show up in that rose gold dress. Would hate for you to be underdressed for my real wedding. Then I hit send. And slept better than I had in weeks. The morning of April 27th was cloudy. Not stormy. Not sunny. Just muted. Like the universe was holding its breath. I didn't wake up with butterflies. I woke up with clarity. No veil. No bridesmaids. No something blue. Just me. A white dress I'd almost forgotten I owned. And a man who used to love my sister, now standing beside me like a quiet promise. Tyler picked me up at 9 a.m. sharp. His suit was navy, no tie. His smile was small but sure. You good? he asked. I nodded. I'm ready. We drove in silence. Not the awkward kind. The kind where words aren't needed. At the courthouse, the clerk raised an eyebrow when we said, "Today." "Short notice," she said. "Long time coming," I replied. We signed the papers. Said our vows in under 10 minutes. No audience, no choir. No rice thrown or photos taken. Just one witness. The universe. The judge pronounced us husband and wife. And just like that, it was done. We stepped out onto the courthouse steps, wind tugging at my hair. Tyler turned to me and said, "Still not too late to run if you want." I looked at him and smiled. This isn't revenge, it's closure. Then my phone buzzed. 10 missed calls, 4 voicemails, all from Bree. The last message read, "What the hell do you mean wedding's still on? Daniel just showed up to an empty venue, Ava. Are you seriously doing this?" I stared at it for a moment, then typed back, "You slept with my fiancé, so I married your ex. Hope that rose gold dress fits the occasion." I didn't send it. Not yet. Instead, I turned to Tyler. "Want to grab brunch?" He grinned. "Married 20 minutes and already planning breakfast. You're efficient." We went to a small cafe on the west side, ordered French toast and coffee. It felt normal, like we hadn't just set fire to the lies, like this was just any other Sunday. My phone kept buzzing. Calls from my mother, from Daniel, from an aunt I hadn't spoken to in months. I let it ring. Halfway through brunch, Tyler reached into his jacket pocket, pulled out a tiny velvet box. I blinked. "You brought a ring?" He opened it. Inside was a single silver band. No stone. No sparkle. "I know this wasn't the plan," he said, "but I figured you should still have something, even if it's just for you." I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded and slipped it on. It fit perfectly, not because it was meant to, but because I'd finally stopped trying to fit into their story. This was mine now, by the time we finished brunch. My inbox looked like a crime scene. 23 unread messages. 7 voicemails. 1 from my dad. Which meant they knew. Tyler paid the bill. He didn't ask questions. Just handed me his jacket as we stepped into the wind. "You sure you're ready to check it?" I nodded, unlocked my phone, and pressed play. First voicemail, Daniel. "Ava, please. This has to be a joke. We need to talk. Just call me back, okay?" Click. Second, Mom. "Ava Marie, what in God's name have you done? Your sister is sobbing. Daniel is humiliated. People are asking questions." I laughed, actually laughed, as if the woman who raised us was suddenly concerned with appearances. Now, after everything. Third voicemail, Bree. "Ava, pick up the phone. You can't just hijack my ex like some kind of psycho. You ruined everything." Psycho. That was rich. Coming from someone who ruined her own sister's wedding for a few flings in secret. I let Tyler hear it. He shook his head slowly. "She hasn't changed." "No," I said, "but I have." Back at my apartment, the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. Tyler moved to answer it, but I held up a hand. "This one's mine." I opened the door. Bree stood there, red-eyed, wearing that rose gold dress, the one she swore made her look like a goddess. "Ava!" she snapped. "You have 5 minutes to explain what the hell is going on." I didn't move. Didn't invite her in. Didn't even blink. "You slept with my fiancé," I said. "You wore that to celebrate it. Now you're mad I returned the favor?" Her jaw dropped. "That's not the same." I raised an eyebrow. "No. You betrayed family." I just rewrote the ending. She tried to push past me. I blocked the door. "You don't get to come into my house in that dress and act like you're the victim. You're seriously married now? To him?" She sneered, like saying his name would stain her lips. "Yep," I said, holding up my hand. The silver band caught the light. Subtle. Solid. "You don't even love him," she hissed. "And he doesn't love you." I looked her dead in the eyes. "No, but he respects me. And right now, that's worth more than every fake apology you never meant." Behind me, Tyler stepped into view. Bree's face twisted. "I was just a bet to you, wasn't I?" she snapped at him. He replied calmly, "No, you were a lesson. Ava's the one I'd choose twice." She stormed off without another word, the dress flaring behind her like a dying flame. I closed the door, turned the lock, and let silence wash over the room. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like peace. The next day, my parents showed up. Unannounced, uninvited, unapologetic. I heard the knock and already knew it wasn't a delivery. They never came to my place. Not unless it was about Bree. I opened the door. My mother was holding a pie. As if sugar could fix betrayal, my father gave me the look, the one that said, "You embarrassed us." I stepped aside but didn't say, "Come in." They did anyway. "Sit," Mom said, placing the pie on my counter like it was peace. "I baked your favorite. Apple crumble." I stared at it. It looked like guilt topped with denial. "So," my father began, "do you want to explain what that stunt was?" Stunt. He used that word, as if marrying someone I trusted was a performance. As if Bree hadn't been playing lead actress in a betrayal no one asked for. "I canceled the wedding," I said calmly. "Daniel and Bree gave me no choice." My mother flinched. "Bree made a mistake." "A mistake?" I echoed. "That's what you're calling it?" "She's hurting," my mom whispered. "People are talking," and we had to explain to the guests. I cut her off. "You were more worried about the guests than me." They said nothing. The silence was their answer. "I married someone who respects me," I said. "Not because I wanted revenge, but because I refused to start my life with someone who lied in my bed and hers." My father crossed his arms. "You married her ex. That's cruel." "Cruel is what she did," I said. "I just matched her energy with dignity." They sat there like statues. Not proud, not sorry, just cornered. Then my mom spoke. "You know Bree's been unstable since her breakup with Tyler. She clung to Daniel because he made her feel wanted. It wasn't personal." I laughed, out loud, that bitter kind of laugh that sounds more like surrender. "It was my fiancé, Mom. My wedding. My future. But sure, let's talk about how she felt." They didn't answer, so I did it for them. "You only see Bree when she's breaking. You only see me when I'm silent. That ends today." I stood up. "Enjoy the pie. But you can leave now." My father scowled. "You think this was mature?" I met his eyes. "I think this was necessary." They left without another word. No hug, no blessing. Just the door closing behind them, like the final page of a bad chapter. I stood there, looking at the pie, then tossed it straight into the trash, because I'd had enough of sweet things hiding bitter truths. The original venue had been a vineyard, sunlit hills, string lights, soft jazz and wildflowers. It was supposed to host 80 people that Saturday evening. Instead, it stood empty, echoing with silence, not laughter. Wine bottles unopened, chairs never filled, a dance floor untouched. I heard through a friend that Daniel showed up anyway, in a tux, looking dazed. He kept checking his phone, pacing the empty gravel path, waiting for a bride who never came. Bree didn't go, not because she wasn't invited, but because she already knew. Word had gotten around, faster than I thought it would. By Monday morning, everyone knew. I had married Tyler, Bree's ex. The one man she said she could never forget. The one man she said broke her. And I hadn't just married him. I had looked good doing it. Photos leaked. Tyler and I walking out of the courthouse, my dress glowing in soft daylight, the silver band on my hand. A mutual friend posted a blurry picture captioned, "Sometimes the rebound is the real one." I didn't comment, didn't repost, didn't need to. Bree's silence was loud enough. For the first time in her life, she had no comeback, no Instagram story, no snarky caption, just silence. Tyler and I kept things simple. We didn't rush into living together. Didn't pretend this was some epic love story. It was just real, honest. No games, no secrets. One night, we sat on my balcony. Hot tea, cold air, the city humming below. He asked, "Do you regret it?" I looked at him, really looked. At the man who once loved my sister but chose to respect me. At the man who didn't flinch when I asked for the unthinkable. At the man who gave me my name back in a world that tried to take it. "No," I said, "not even for a second." Then I asked him, "Do you?" He smiled softly. "Not for a second." We didn't kiss, didn't hold hands. We just sat there. Two people who had nothing left to prove and nothing left to lose. That same night, I got a text from an unknown number. No name, no emojis, just, "She won't eat. She's crying every day. Are you happy now?" I stared at the screen, typed nothing, deleted the message. Because I didn't owe them an answer. I didn't owe them anything. The reception never happened. But I got my closure. And in a way, that was the real celebration. 2 weeks passed. No calls, no texts from Bree. Not even one of her dramatic guilt traps. The, "you'll regret this when I'm gone" type. Then I got the email. Subject line, "We need to talk. Sister to sister." I stared at it for a full minute before opening it. Her words weren't angry. Not exactly. They were desperate. Scattered. Like she couldn't decide if she hated me or missed me. "You blindsided me," she wrote. "I was stupid, okay? I was hurt, and Daniel was just there. He made me feel like I mattered, like someone finally saw me." Then this. "I never thought you'd take Tyler. You always pretended you weren't interested." Pretended. That's what she thought. Because to Bree, if I didn't flaunt something, it must not have meant anything. If I wasn't loud, I wasn't serious. If I was quiet, I wasn't feeling. But what she never realized was this. Still waters aren't empty. They're just deeper. I didn't reply. Not right away. I let it sit. Just like she let betrayals sit between us for weeks while she kept smiling at dress fittings. That weekend, I ran into Daniel. At a bookstore, of all places. He looked tired, older, unshaven. "Ava," he said, like he was hoping I'd be someone else. I nodded. Didn't smile, didn't flinch. He stepped toward me. I didn't know how to explain. It just happened. I met his eyes. The cheating didn't hurt as much as the cowardice. He blinked. "What? You didn't tell me. You let me plan a wedding while you were already halfway out the door." He swallowed. "I didn't think you'd ever find out." That made me laugh. "You cheated on someone who builds brand strategies for a living and thought I wouldn't figure it out?" He actually looked ashamed, and I didn't feel better. I just felt nothing. He said, "Are you really married? To Tyler?" "Yes." "Do you love him?" I tilted my head. "Does that matter?" He didn't have an answer. So I walked away. No tears. No parting words. Just the soft echo of my boots on linoleum and his regret following behind me like a shadow. That night, Bree called. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail. Please. Just tell me why. Why him? I sat on the edge of my bed, held the phone in my lap, then recorded a message. Because he never looked at me like I was your background. And because you needed to feel small for once. The way you made me feel my whole life. I hit send. And for the first time, I knew she finally understood. A week later, the story made it to social media. Not the whole story. Just whispers. Screenshots of our courthouse photo. A blurry image of Bree crying at brunch. A cryptic tweet. When the sister you backstabbed marries the man you couldn't keep. I didn't post anything. Didn't like or share. But I watched. Quietly. Comments poured in. Most didn't know it was about us. But Bree did. She called me again. 5 times in one day. I let it ring. Then I got a text from our mom. You've made your point. Enough now. Enough. As if I was the one who started it. As if I had written the plot, instead of rewriting the ending. The next day, I was at work. Tyler stopped by my office. He placed a to-go coffee cup on my desk. My peace offering for taking the last muffin this morning. I smiled. I wasn't going to fight you for it. He sat down across from me, then said, "Your sister emailed me." I raised an eyebrow. "Really?" He nodded. "She asked me if it was all for show, if I just married you to hurt her." "And?" I asked. I told her no. He paused. "I told her I married you because I wanted to, because you asked with more honesty than she ever showed in a whole relationship." That made my chest ache. Not from pain. From truth. From finally being seen. He added, "She also asked if I still had feelings for her." I stayed quiet, held my breath. He looked me dead in the eye. I told her the only thing I still felt was relief. I nodded. And for the first time since all of this began, I reached out and took his hand. Not out of desperation, not out of fear, but out of gratitude. After work, I got home to find a package at my door. No name, just a note inside. "For your new chapter." It was a photo frame. Simple, silver, empty, no pictures, just potential. I knew it was from her. Her way of saying sorry without ever saying the word. Classic Brie. Always decorating the damage instead of repairing it. I didn't throw it away. I placed it on my bookshelf and wrote myself a reminder. Not all silence is forgiveness. Sometimes it's just peace. The story wasn't viral, but it reached the people it needed to. The ones who called me boring. Too stable. Too structured. They saw now that silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. And I had played the long game. And won. 3 months have passed. The headlines faded. The calls slowed. The drama cooled. But peace? Peace stayed. Tyler and I moved in together, not out of some romantic rush, but because it made sense. He brought 2 plants and 3 books. I brought 20 plants and a habit of alphabetizing the spice rack. We laughed more than we argued. That was new for me. My sister hasn't called in weeks. My mother texted once, "Don't forget your father's birthday." I didn't. I just chose not to do anything. I had always been the daughter who held the glue. Now I was just holding myself together. One afternoon, Tyler came home with mail, a manila envelope. Inside, our marriage license. He handed it to me gently. "You sure you want to keep my name?" I looked at it. James. His last name. My new one. I thought about it, then shook my head. "No, I want to change it, but not to yours, and definitely not back to the name I was born with." He smiled. "Okay, what then?" I grabbed a pen. Wrote it down on a scrap of paper. Something simple. Something mine. No family tie. No echo of pain. Just Ava Quinn. A name I chose. Alone. He didn't question it. He just said. "Sounds powerful," I said. "It is." A week later, I filed the paperwork. New ID. New signature. New story. It didn't erase the past, but it gave me space to breathe in the present. Sometimes people ask how I did it, how I found the courage to marry my sister's ex, to cancel a wedding, rewrite my name, and start again. The truth? Haya? It wasn't about courage. It was about clarity. I finally saw the people around me for who they were, and I decided that wasn't who I'd be anymore. Not the backup, not the fixer, not the silent one in the corner of the photo. Now I'm center frame. And when I look back, I don't see a broken engagement. I see a woman who burned the blueprint and built something better. Not perfect, not planned, but mine. So if you're reading this, and you've been betrayed, discarded, replaced, here's your permission. You don't have to wait for them to say sorry. You don't have to make it look graceful. And you sure as hell don't have to stay quiet. You can walk away. You can speak up. You can love yourself harder than they ever did. Because revenge isn't setting fire to their world. It's rebuilding yours and making sure they never get to step foot in it again. I didn't just say I do. I said, I'm done. I'm free. I'm Ava Quinn. And that is the real beginning. What do you think about Ava's decision? Was she too harsh, or was this the only way to truly protect herself? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories about family.